Welcome to Cheboygan State Park. Cheboygan State Park is gorgeous, but unfortunately, as we've discovered, it's actually one of the most unused and unvisited parks in this park system.
And I think it's unappreciated because of that. Although talking to regulars who like to come here, I think they like that it's a quiet little park and not a lot of people come here because they want to kind of keep it for themselves. But, you know, it is a really beautiful place.
Part of the reason for that is it's not really a destination park. There's only 76 campsites. There's 2 teepees and 3 rustic cabins as part of the camp. It's just south of Mackinac City. It's on Lake Huron and Duncan Bay. But from what we've been told, as opposed to coming here and camping for a week, like many people do at other parks, it's sort of a stop on your way up north or down south or somewhere else. If you're going on a lighthouse tour or brewery tour, it's a place where people come for just maybe 1 or 2 nights.
It is an older state park. It was founded in about 1930. The campground shows it, both in its design, which I think is a good thing because there are some beautiful sites here where you're really tucked back by yourself with trees and shrubs all around you and you have some nice privacy. But the sites are still good size, so you can get a better, a larger rig into a lot of them. So that's not really a concern there.
Well, I think they did say, though, that most people that are here are in tents and small pop-ups. That seemed to be pretty popular when we walked around the campground. That's what we saw. And I think we need to note, though, that the park is only 20 amp. And so you can't really have a bigger unit here and expect to run all of your amenities within your trailer because you're not going to run them on 20 amp.
I think that is why you see smaller rigs here generally. But so yeah, you need to know that you can run some things on the 20 amp circuit, but you're not going to run 2 or 3 air conditioners off of it without making sure nobody has electric that day.
Right.
But it is a really nice small campground. It is older. The bathroom facilities are older, but they were nice. They worked well.
Oh my God, I had an awesome hot shower last night, so I actually really enjoyed the bathroom facilities.
Yeah, it was fine. And it is something that, they may look at expanding it someday. I think there's some plans in the works to try to upgrade the electric. But I think that's because people maybe don't spend a lot of time here because if they feel like they need more electric power, you're not going to necessarily come here for a long time. But if you have the ability to be self-contained and sort of boondock, half electric, it's a great, quiet place to be.
I was out by the fire last night till, I don't know, probably 11:30 or so, and it was dead quiet. I mean, and that's pretty unusual for a state park. There's usually just so many people that there's always noise of some kind. Somebody's air conditioning is running, the dogs are barking, the kids are playing, the music's going. Even though quiet hours are at 10, nobody always abides by that. But last night, it was dead silent. You could hear the water, you could hear the birds, the crickets chirping, and I just wanted to stay out there forever because it was so nice.
And I think part of that is because of all the trees and the shrubs and everything that are still here between sites, you have a little bit of a noise break between sites. And so that's really nice to see. You mentioned the cabins. We happen to be sitting on a picnic table at the beach at one of the cabins.
We're at 14-Foot Shoals cabin. And right out the back door of the cabin is this gorgeous little beach area. You've got an awesome view of 2 different lighthouses, the Mackinac Bridge, Boblo Island. And just in the time we've been here, we've seen 2 freighters go by. And that's just something I enjoy watching. And I think if you were here, there's a little fire pit out here, picnic table and some benches. And you could just sit out here for hours and watch the traffic go by.
It's in a really nice setting. It's down about a mile down this sort of forest road that has a locked gate at the front, so you have some privacy. And it's, nice to be able to just come back here and you could feel really secluded and tucked away, have a beautiful view, nice fire by the beach. There's also a fire pit up by the cabin. There's an outdoor grill. Just a great place to hang out for a while.
The 14-Foot Shoals cabin is one of 3 cabins here in the Cheboygan State Park area. And they are busy all year round. We're only here just because somebody checked out this morning and the next people haven't come in yet. And they were saying that you have to book these almost a year in advance. You can reserve them a year in advance. And they said if you don't get them a year in advance, you're likely not going to. And we didn't know how popular the cabins were, but they are open year round. This particular cabin sleeps 8 in 4 sets of bunk beds. There's a wood stove, a table, a counter area, a couple chairs. There's no sink or running water. There is a well pump outside. And so, whether you come here in the summer or the winter, you're going to have to bring all your linens, your cooking equipment, whatever you have that works for you, but knowing that your only water source is the well outside. But these are really cute. It's just another way for you to go camping. In this particular case, the view out the window is gorgeous. You are right on the shores of Lake Huron and can essentially see the Mackinac Bridge from here. So I think this would be a great place to come camping, and maybe sometime we'll have to try to find an opening in the schedule and come back here.
If you're not lucky enough to reserve one of these cabins, you can still get out here. There are a number of hiking trails throughout Cheboygan State Park, and most of them do lead out here to this point so that you too can see the views. We ran into a few people that were on bikes, so you can, if you don't want to walk the whole way, it's only about 2.5 miles, but you can bring your bikes out here, you could walk, and it just gives you some gorgeous scenery once you're out here.
Yeah, you'll probably notice every so often we're swatting at mosquitoes and things. The park supervisor said the mosquitoes are really bad this year, and usually by this time of the year, we're here in mid-July.
Yeah.
It's mid-July already. And he said usually by now, by like July 4th, I think, he said most of the mosquitoes have kind of run their course and are done. But it was a bumper crop this year, so you have to deal with that. And I would say really any of the northern Michigan parks, northern lower Michigan and into the UP, you're going to be dealing with bugs. So make sure you're ready to, have some bug spray with you, have a thermocell, bring some light clothing that's maybe long sleeve. Just being prepared is a big part of enjoying it.
You never know exactly what you're going to encounter in terms of wildlife too. So they have said that there are bear in the area. There's deer, porcupine, chipmunks, a lot going on. So whether you're out on the trails, not just being prepared for mosquitoes, but being prepared for anything else that you might run across. We had a deer run out in front of us while we were driving out here. And so there's just a lot of scenery, a lot of nature, and bring your binoculars, bring your sunscreen and a hat, and I think this is a great place. And I don't know why more people don't spend a lot of time here, because it's not really out in the middle of nowhere at all. It's actually it's right by Cheboygan. It's a pretty large city for a coastal resort community kind of area, and I definitely encourage more people to get out here. One of the features here at Cheboygan State Park is the ruins of an old lighthouse that was in operation from 1859 to 1930 when it was closed down and this parkland was actually turned over to the state of Michigan. And then 2 modern, newer lighthouses have been built out into the Straits area, so this one was no longer needed. But you can still see the foundation. It's lots of moss and trees have grown up in there, but it's still out here to see.
It's down a really nice trail. The trail system in here isn't huge compared to other parks. There's parks that have much more trail in terms of mileage. But there are nice trails in here, and you can, one of the trails goes along the shoreline.
Well, I think it didn't originally. I think it went along the edge of the shoreline, but you would definitely be walking in the water now because the one marker post is like the water's lapping up to it. So.
Yeah, I think it's one of the trails that would have taken you all across the beach.
Yeah.
And the beach isn't really there right now. Well, it's there, but it's underwater.
So I'm standing on the beach here in Cheboygan State Park, what was the beach at one time. Due to the high water levels, the beach is now underwater. The park supervisor showed us a picture from a number of years ago when this used to be just a huge, flat, white, very pretty sandy beach and, hundreds of people and just, packed. But unfortunately today we've, at least this year, the water level's up. So the beach is kind of underwater. There's a little bit of coastline here. There is a little bit of area here where you can put a towel down. You'll kind of be in the dune grass a little bit, but you can still come to the beach. The water's warm. We're in Duncan Bay, which is sort of a little inlet of Lake Huron. And so the water's warm here. It's great. There's some little fish swimming around. The best part is you have a great view of the Mackinac Bridge. It's way out here in the distance. It might not show up on camera very well, but it is pretty clear, and so you can actually see all the way to the Mackinac Bridge, and that's really cool.
The park and the cabins are open year-round. The campground is not. That's closed in the winter.
Right, but the cabins are, and this would be a great place for cross-country skiing or snowshoeing or just kind of hanging out in the peacefulness and the solitude that comes with winter in northern Michigan.
It can be really pretty in here. I was actually surprised there weren't more trails because at over 1,200 acres, there's a lot of open land here. But the park supervisor reminded us there's a lot of lowlands here. So you've got a lot of amphibians and reptiles and creatures that need to be protected, and the area needs to be protected more than some other places. So it's just a matter of they've put trails in where they can. I think there's 6 or 7 miles. And it's, they would be nice trails to enjoy if you're prepared for mosquitoes at certain times of the year.
Yeah. And 2 of the trails start right at the campground. So if you are staying there, you can head out from your campsite. And then there is a small parking lot off of the main entrance road. So if you're not there and you just want to come for a day visit, park there and hike or bike out into the woods. Another thing is, we have said plenty of times, stop in and talk to your camp host. In the particular case here at Cheboygan, the camp host actually worked for the DNR and was a park supervisor for many years at a number of different state parks in Michigan. She is a wealth of information, not only about this state park, but many others in the system and just the state parks in general. So we had a lovely chat with her this morning over coffee and hot chocolate. And I just encourage you to make sure that you take time to stop in. Most of the campsite hosts have a variety of activities for the kids, crafts nights, game nights. A lot of them are starting to do like the little reading, lending libraries. But if nothing else, just stop in and say hi and learn from them and find out what there is to do in the area that you might not know of. With all the water around here, one of the key activities is kayaking. And if you don't have your own, the campground has 4 kayaks that you can rent and take out either on Duncan Lake or out here in Lake Huron if you're comfortable with that. And it would really need to be flat and you have to be wearing your life jacket and understanding the rules. But you can kind of paddle in and out around the state park because that is all the land there. So you could see the lighthouses, you could see Mackinac Bridge, the freighters going by, and just kind of a nice loop through the water there. I think it would be really pretty.
Yeah, it would be a nice place to just spend some time out on the water and float around, see what you could see as it goes by.
We really encourage you to come visit Cheboygan. Let's help make it a more utilized, more visited, and just more well-known park. So while you're traveling, we hope that you come check this one out.
Whether you check out Cheboygan State Park or not, get out there and travel. Keep on trekking.
And we'll see you out there.
Small playground for kids and adults who still have imaginary friends.
And small adults.